Welcome to your next class in this special intensive training series brought to you by the Hypno Collective School of Trance. My name is Algorhythmique and I'm here today as your professor to give you a practical, hands-on training session to teach you all about a very common hypnotic induction technique, one that we call the confusion induction. And you might already be familiar with the process of a hypnotic induction, especially if you've already attended previous classes as part of our training intensive here at the School of Trance. But whether you already know how good it can feel falling deep into trance, or whether this is your very first time learning about and experiencing the wonders of hypnosis, either way, that's perfectly okay because we're here today to learn, no matter what level we're starting from. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right from the basics before we progress all the way to that lovely, deep experience of confusion. Because a hypnotic induction is very simply the process that I take you through as you follow, in order to induce inside your mind a wonderfully deep state of hypnotic trance. And there are many different kinds of hypnotic inductions. And here at the School of Trance, you can listen to some of our expert hypnotic educators teach you about a number of those different techniques. Perhaps some of them you've even enjoyed already, while some of them you might still be looking forward to experiencing very soon. But in today's class, I'm going to be focusing on a particular favorite induction method of mine, and that's one where you end up in a deep state of confusion. And I mean, I'm sure you're not feeling confused just yet, because of course you're following along perfectly well with everything I'm saying right now, aren't you? Because we've only just begun this lesson, and so you might find that none of this is making much sense to you just yet, because of course why would you be confused if you're following along perfectly with everything I say? I'm sure that just sounds very confusing right now, but that's perfectly fine as well. Because by the end of this class, you'll find that it's very easy to be drifting deep in delightful confusion, and everything will make perfect sense. That's right. So let's get started, shall we? Because I'm sure as you begin to learn all about how muddling the mind with multiple misleading threads of information can misdirect your thoughts so easily, while we absorb our focus on this subject of confusion, you'll begin to notice, as you take in each subject, how the fusion of thoughts can easily subject your own mind to confusion, confusing the subject so nicely as part of our practical demonstration in today's class. And what you'll find as you take in this information is that this can be a very effective induction, particularly for analytical subjects who love to examine each thought and follow along with every little weaving, winding trail of an idea to see where it might end up. And people whose natural instinct is to try to resolve contradictions and pick apart things that don't make sense. And as wonderful a skill as that can be, you might even begin to find your own mind working against you. In the case of this captivating craft of the confusion induction, where contradictions and paradoxes and multiple threads of ideas can be used to entangle the mind and draw your focus in all kinds of different directions until you're deeply, wonderfully hypnotized. That's right. And sometimes we do this by focusing on external sensory input. And the way this can work is by carefully drawing your attention to different sensations in your body, like the way the air in the room feels against your skin right now. Maybe you can feel it on the back of your hands or against your cheeks. and the way your breath is starting to slow down a little as you listen and focus, and how those muscles around your eyes are starting to relax as well. So you're thinking about 3 completely different sensations now, aren't you? There's that feeling of the air on your skin, and the way your breathing is slower, and the way the muscles around your eyes have relaxed, and keeping those 3 things in your mind at once. And in this way, the hypnotist creates a situation where you can find yourself focusing on multiple different sensory channels at the one time, just letting your mind be absorbed with that task of processing all the input, still focusing on those 3 things, that's right. Whereas normally you're completely unconsciously integrating all that sensory information, just like you're unconsciously taking in the hidden messages in my words as you listen. And by providing a new, different focus for you to fixate on, with every moment we progress deeper into this confusion induction. Like perhaps now, as well as those first 3 things, I might also ask you to focus on another 3 things, like the way my voice makes you feel, and the way your shoulders are releasing tension now. Yes, just like that. And how you're barely conscious of the temperature in the room right now. Perhaps it's warm, or maybe it's cool. Maybe it's just nice and comfortable. But I want you to hold an awareness of that in your mind as well. And in moving your attention between those 6 different things, now the confusion induction works against your mind's desire to wander and wind and drift away from what's happening, as you can't help but focus and grab onto whatever makes sense in the moment when so many things are going on. That's right. And as another example, perhaps now I might simply ask you to pay attention to your left hand, and maybe it's just resting easily in your lap right now or by your side, but I want you to just concentrate for me on the way that that hand feels pressing against whatever surface it's resting on. I want you to focus on the muscles in that hand and how they feel, whether they're tensed up or more relaxed. And I'd like you to just lift that hand up in the air right now, directly in front of you, so you can continue to focus on the hand and watch the way it almost seems to be just levitating in the air all on its own right now. But at the same time, I want you to keep remembering to think about what your breath is doing. Is it still slowing down, or has it reached a comfortable, relaxed pace? Or maybe you'd forgotten to remember to think about what your breath is doing while you were keeping your attention on your hand still floating there, but I want you to still keep all those different sensations inside your mind, not losing track as you remember to focus on the sound of my voice and how good it makes you feel as you listen, as you breathe in and out, and keep holding your hand in place. And mind you, don't forget to be conscious of the temperature in the room right now and the way you're relaxing those muscles in your shoulder as you continue to release all that tension. That's right, very good. And perhaps your arm might be starting to feel a little tired or tense with you suspending that hand up in the air so well for me, and continuing to watch and focus on that hand as you listen and breathe and relax your shoulders and notice the temperature in the room. Or maybe that hand is still feeling quite comfortable, and either way is fine, but I want you to focus on that too. The way your arm is feeling as you hold it up there. So now you're holding 7 things in your mind, or is it 8? Do you remember what they are? Focusing on watching your hand as you hold it out there in front of you, and your breath as you breathe in and out, and the way the air feels against your skin, and the way my voice makes you feel so nice down deep inside. And And you're noticing that temperature in the room and the muscles around your eyes relaxing and your shoulders releasing all that tension. And the way your arm feels as you're holding your hand in place, and you notice the way your focus is spread across your senses in that way means there's no room for anything else in your mind, is there? And it's so hard, isn't it, to keep thinking about anything but just following every word that I'm saying, because there's no space left in your mind for anything else. And so in a moment I'm going to tell you to let your hand drop back down, and as you do, when I give you that word, you can just let all those other thoughts fall away with it and simply focus on just one single thing, just following my voice as you drop that hand now. And let go of all those other thoughts. No need to think at all now. Letting go of everything else in your mind. That's right. So good for me. Well done. Because all you need to do now is just focus on my voice, my words. As you let your mind slow all the way down. That's right. Doing so well for me. And I can see that you're a very attentive student, perfectly adapting to the subject of confusion as you listen. That's right. And the lovely thing is that when you're all the way deep down here, there's no need to think about any of those external sensations anymore, or what's going on with the conscious mind. Because what you'll find down here is that it's not so much about conscious awareness anymore. Because instead your subconscious is taking over as you listen and follow and focus. That's right. And so the next thing we'll be looking at as we get deeper into this confusion induction is how we can use mental fixation techniques. So I need you to wake up again now, that's right, wide awake, because now I need you to pay very careful attention for me. Can you do that? Good. Because this technique takes a great deal of concentration, you see. Are you nice and awake? Very good. Because the idea of a mental fixation induction is that, well, when you're the sort of person who really likes a challenge, or something interesting to do that captures your attention. That's right. Well, then I'm going to give you exactly that. And so what I'd like you to do now, as I demonstrate this technique to you, is that I want you to focus very carefully for me on counting the number of times that I use the word focus in my next sentence. Because you see, the nice thing about when you focus on a mental fixation exercise like this one is that the focus of your attention is ongoing, and it stops your focus from drifting too much as your conscious mind is fully occupied with focusing on how many times I say the word focus. And while you might be losing focus all too easily on all the other things that are going on around you, but that's okay because your unconscious mind is still fully focused on the sound of my voice and the hidden messages that are flickering just out of focus in between my words as the primary focus of getting you focused on becoming more and more hypnotized is achieved. And maybe your focus might have got caught up in wondering if you should be counting the words focused and focusing as well as focus, because they're different words, really, aren't they? But at the same time, I can't say focusing without saying focus, so perhaps you need to count all forms of the word. Or maybe you weren't wondering that at all. Maybe you've already lost focus as your mind becomes more and more muddled and you drop all the way down for me again. That's right. And you can stop counting each word now as you just relax and listen. And simply let your mind drift softly as you sink down deeper. That's right. And as you drift here in trance, and your unconscious continues to take in my words so nicely, now that you're learning so well for me how this confusion induction pulls your mind down into blissful emptiness. You can simply listen and take in my words as I tell you the next technique, about how I might decide to bounce your attention between different states, back and forth, switching your focus quickly from one thing to another, until you don't quite know which way is down and which is up, awake. That's right, wake up for me now. You're not sleeping in class, are you? We can't have any of that now, but I'm sure you've still been taking it all in very deeply, haven't you? That's right. Because perhaps your conscious mind hasn't been listening very well, but I'm sure your subconscious has been learning my training very, very thoroughly. Even if you still might be a little confused with the process we're taking to get there. And that's okay, because that just means you're learning all about how confusion can pull you all the way down deeper into trance as you listen. That's right. And you might find that this third technique for creating confusion in the mind could work very nicely alongside the devious delights of linguistic confusion, where ambiguous illusions and elaborate language structures create sweet delusions and run-on sentences that distract the brain, as your focus is pulled both this way and that, but you're still doing so well as you turn to the deeper details of this subject of confusion and letting each thread of my words just entangle your mind even more as you enter down deep in this place and just fully embrace becoming the confused subject in this practical demonstration. And even though you're taking it all in so well, isn't it interesting how you've already let slip out of your mind that first technique that I taught you? But that doesn't matter, because your unconscious mind still remembers to forget, and so as your mind in the midst of confusion grabs onto the only thing that makes any sense, you end up remembering only that you need to drop for me right now, following only my words, my voice. Nothing else matters. That's right. Very good. And as you find yourself resting here, deep in this blissful space of drifting trance, you can simply allow that confusion to melt completely away, along with all the other thoughts in your mind. Because once our induction has finished its journey of taking you all the way down here deep, you can simply find that all of that confusion was only illusion after all. The trickery of language flickering and fluttering in your mind to carry you down into this delightfully deep, relaxed, hypnotized state. That's right. And so down here deep in trance, you can let go of all those different threads and focus only on that wonderful sensation of being hypnotized. Doing so good for me, that's right. And in just a moment, I'm going to bring you back up again from this place of deep trance. And you can allow those lovely relaxed feelings to stay with you a little bit longer if you like. As you're getting ready to wake up now, on the count of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and wake. Welcome back. You've been such a good student, and I hope you enjoyed this session from the Hypno Collective School of Trance. Please take some time to stretch your body and rehydrate so you can be nice and prepared for our next instructor before they begin your next class. I'm sure you'll be very focused for them.